Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're going to talk about the number one recruit coming out of high school for 2025. Her name's Aaliyah Chavez, and she hasn't chosen what college she's going to go to yet. She's got it down to 5. And we're going to talk about what's best for her. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so with the notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next video. So, Rob, she's 5'10 or 5'11, depending on what you believe. She lives in Lubbock, Texas, and she's considered the best player in the country this year. She was a finalist for Gatorade Player of the Year. They think she's going to win this year. She's kind of a flashy point guard who can also score, and she has it down to 5 schools: Texas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, UCLA, and South Carolina. Apparently, LSU was in there, but they were eliminated. And rumor has it that she and her representatives are asking for $1 million in NIL money to sign with a college program, and that's when LSU backed off. I don't know if that's true. That's the rumor. I think it's very confusing to me. Because schools cannot pay college athletes for their use for name, image, and likeness directly.
Right.
However, the athletes can earn money from NIL collectives, which are groups of supporters that raise funds to pay athletes through NIL deals. Because normally the NIL deals are through the companies and not through the colleges.
Right.
So I think that's pretty confusing. But Rob, supposedly she's like Caitlin Clark. She has a shooting range of 25 feet. And last year, she averaged 37.8 points, 10.1 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 3.5 steals, and 0.9 blocks. So, and I've seen only highlights of her. I haven't seen a full game of her. And she's an exciting player, and she plays with a lot of confidence, too, like Caitlin Clark.
That's good. That sounds good. Well, I think whatever school she picks will be, great. Whatever, they'll have a great recruit and a great player. I just think, that's good for her, whatever her choice is. I probably would think she would probably stay close to home, being that she's from Texas and wants to see her family play.
Right. I looked it up. Texas Tech is actually in Lubbock, Texas. Texas is 6 hours away in Austin, and the other cities are obviously out of state. Now, there's a guy that does podcasts called AK Nation, and he made the argument that if you're a guard who wants to shine, you should avoid big factory schools like UConn and South Carolina. And he said, name me a great guard that's come out of those schools. And he said recently, although he didn't say it when he made the tape, but he implied that. And he feels that they'll be too restrained. If they're a guard that likes to play a little bit freer, they'll be too restrained at Connecticut and South Carolina, like Page is, I think, right now. And he would argue that he wouldn't go to South Carolina or UConn if he was that type of guard, and she should go somewhere else. What do you think of that theory, Rob?
I think it's wrong. I mean, I don't know what he means by freer. I mean, what that she can't. I think if you're a good player, you're a great player. It doesn't matter where you go. And what makes you think that going to those schools that the other coaches won't restrain her? Why she thinks if she goes to Texas or Texas Tech, that the coach won't have the same concept as far as just playing as a team. Well, that's what basketball is, a team concept.
Well, I'm not sure if they will either, Rob, but I know Lisa Bluter wasn't like that. And I think that's why Caitlin Clark flourished. And I think Paige Becker would flourish more outside of UConn. I think she'd be actually a slightly better player if she didn't go to UConn. I think she feels hesitant to make any kind of risk pass that isn't a conservative pass. She doesn't take any high risk passes, even shots. I think she's hesitant to shoot more than she does and to really take over a game and not play within the team system that Gino has. That's just my feeling. I feel that she would be a better player outside of UConn. That doesn't mean that she didn't learn things from Gino and develop skills that she wouldn't at other schools. I just think she would play freer and she would be a better all-around player in terms of contributing, taking over a game and contributing to the team. So I actually agree with this concept.
So you think she made a mistake that going to UConn?
I think she played with more flair in high school from when I saw the highlights. And so I looked into the theory that he did, and I looked up, the players and what college they went to. The guard. We're just talking about guards now. And we're not talking about guards who are not have any flair or want any freedom, not a conservative type guard who just kind of want to play within the system. Ones that maybe want a little bit more freedom to develop and are willing to take, say, some passes that are a little bit higher risk, like Caitlin Clark. Not as high as risk as Caitlin Clark, but somewhere in between maybe. And those kind of players who just want to be able to, like, hey, geez, we need a basket. I got to feel free that I can take a shot, even if I'm forcing it a little bit, and I'm not going to get benched because
Beckers can do that. He lets Beckers do that.
Okay, I'm just giving you examples. So, anyways, so I looked at all the players in the WNBA and all the star guards. And the only one in the last 20 years that went to South Carolina or UConn that made the All-Star game is Alicia Gray, who actually won the skills competition and was a 2-time All-Star. But all the other players, Sabrina Eskew went to Oregon, Courtney Vanderloot went to Gonzaga, Kayla McBride went to Notre Dame, Courtney Williams went to South Florida, Marina Mabry went to Notre Dame, DeJounte Carrington went to Stanford and Baylor, Kelsey Plum went to Washington, Jackie Young went to Notre Dame, Chelsea Gray went to Duke, Joy Lloyd went to Notre Dame, Skylar Diggins-Smith went to Notre Dame, Caitlin Clark went to Iowa, Kelsey Mitchell went to Iowa State, Kalia Copper went to Rutgers, Natasha Cloud went to St. Joseph, Ryan Howard went to Kentucky, Ariel Atkins went to Texas, Brittany Sykes went to Syracuse, Kennedy Carter went to Texas A&M, Enrique went to Notre Dame, and Odessa Sims went to Baylor and she actually played for Kim Mulkey, which is more of a system coach, I would argue. But anyways, they responded to AK Nation, and he went and looked at all the guards that came out of UConn and South Carolina in the last 20 years. And all they got was Renee Montgomery was a one-time All-Star. Tiffany Hayes was a one-time All-Star. Kenya Nurse was a one-time All-Star out of UConn. And right now we got Raven Johnson, who was a big recruit coming out of college. She was like the number 2 recruit, and she seems to have lost her confidence at South Carolina. Whether that because she has any freedom or not, I don't know, but she seems to have lost her shooting touch and her confidence there. But I know Sanaya Rivers was there at South Carolina, and she left for the freedom of North Carolina State. And right now, people think Melissa Fulwiley, who was the number 3 recruit coming out in 2023, is being held back by Dawn Staley. I don't know if she is or not, but right now she's not getting much playing time, and she's kind of a flashier player. And maybe she'd be better off at a school where, she's allowed more freedom. I don't know.
Well, the only reason why, if I was a recruit, the main thing, I want to play basketball. That's my first thing. Am I going to play? That's the first thing you're going to ask when you go to a school. Am I going to play? What do you think my minutes are going to be? So, but you have South Carolina and you got UConn, the recruiting factory, all the top recruits. He gets all top recruits. Now, he's pointing out that there's no guards or superstar guards that come out into the NBA from Connecticut.
In the last 20 years.
In the last 20 years.
22 and 24 years ago was Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi.
Right.
So just want to qualify that.
And you're saying that, that's, and then even now you're saying currently Paige Beckers is being so-called held back by him. I have to disagree because, not every guard coming out of a school is going to be a superstar. It depends on what team you're going to. And you just mentioned, like, for all those players you mentioned, there were 4 or 5 of them from Notre Dame. So you're saying that maybe I should go to Notre Dame and it's more of a so-called free my game up. I just don't understand the concept of freeing your game up, where basketball is a team sport, and making a pass, making a safe pass, otherwise behind the back flashier pass makes a difference as far as me coaching you.
Not necessarily a flashier pass, but a higher risk pass that has a high risk, high reward, kind of like Caitlin Clark makes, where she gets to the person underneath the basket, where it's going to be a high reward, more likely to be a basket because it should be because it's close to the basket, or the length of the court pass that she makes. Those kind of passes that that maybe she doesn't have the freedom to make in a system like with UConn or South Carolina.
We all know
they're conservative in their passing,
and
they're shooting too.
So we all know it. We can't. No, there's only one Caitlin Clark. Just like there was one Michael Jordan. You can't. And these players are never going to be on her level. I'm sorry. There's not another player that's even going to be close to Caitlin Clark's level as far as passing. So as far as holding them back and reining them in, I don't think those are proven winning coaches. She wants to win. She wants to go to school. One, you want to play basketball. Two, of course, you want to win a championship. And, but some players do get put on, if they go to the schools I mean, you look at Duke. I mean, Duke gets out is the opposite. Everybody goes to Duke, and they get all the top recruits, but not all of them get to play. So then that's what happens when you go to school. When you go to a really good school, where you want to play. That's why, I mean, with Texas, she might go there and be like double figures, double assist, everything. And you say the coach won't limit her to her ability, which I don't know how you can limit the player. If she's a great player, she's a great player. I don't know.
Well, but reining her in. I think they reined in. I think Gino reined in Paige Beckers, and she could win a championship with Texas. Madison Booker is one of the best players in the country, and she's only a sophomore, so she'd have 2 years with her. So I don't know how much of a system coach like the Texas coach is. I don't know about the Texas team, but I do know that Notre Dame produced a lot of guards, and Enrique wouldn't have played well at UConn. She got the freedom at Notre Dame, and she developed into an excellent player, I think, because she was allowed to have the freedom for her game. I mean, look at all these guards from Notre Dame. There was Marina Mabrey, Kayla McBride, Jackie Young, Skylar Diggins-Smith, a lot of guards out of Notre Dame. Enrique. So in the last 20 years, and almost none out of UConn or South Carolina that became stars.
Yeah,
so
I mean, is that the whole meaning of going to a school, thinking that you are going to, the coach is going to let you be freewheeling and without any kind of control or fancy. I mean, you say these passes are high risk, but what's wrong with a bounce pass? A nice bounce pass is pretty exciting too. If someone's cutting, that's a pretty exciting pass. It doesn't have to be a behind the back bounce pass, But I mean, a bounce pass, a person goes in for a layup. Great pass, nice pass.
I think Caitlin Clark's defense would have been better if she went to UConn, but I think she ended up being a better player by not going to UConn, having the freedom that she had with Lisa Bluter. And I don't think she would have developed into the player she is right now with the way she controls the game and her passing and stuff like that. And I think
she was the main person. So, I mean, and that's the whole thing with, if you're going to those schools, like I said, Connecticut does have a nice freshman, and she seems to be she's almost the main player. She's a freshman, which is kind of unheard of for a Gino team. But this depends. I mean, if you want to go to a team where you want to be the number one and like you said, do your thing, go to those schools. So not everybody wants to go. Nobody wants to go. But I mean, as far as coaching wise, like you said, you got the two best coaches there with defense and everything. In South Carolina, they have a fast break. They're kind of flashy. They're not like, but they get the ball. They had two freshmen last year. Now they're sophomores, and they kind of run the ball and they move the ball around. So
well, they may be the best coaches. I know they're the best recruiters because they get the most 5-star recruits, so that helps. And like Gino hasn't won anything since 2016, but he might win it this year. But I think that it depends. Like Aaliyah Chavez is coming out. I think she's more of the Caitlin Clark mode than the conservative guard mode. I don't think she's going to choose South Carolina for that reason. I think she's going to choose one of those other 4 schools for that reason. And it would be interesting to see whether she could, if she's good enough. I don't know how good she's going to be in college. She's looks great in high school and she's got good size, but we'll see how great she is in college. But I don't know if she can do what Caitlin Clark did, where she's taking a bunch of 3-star recruits.
No one's going to be like that. That's what I'm saying. No one's going to be like that. And like I said, I mean, why do you think South Carolina and UConn and LSU and those, they get the high recruits? Why do you think that? I mean, they know going in, like, hey, my chances of playing might not be that good because they're not the only recruit that's coming in. You got like 5 or 6 ball players, and you got players who are already on the team. That's what happens with us with college basketball. You may be the superstar in high school after 30 points a game, but when you go to Duke, you might average 2 points a game. Sorry, it's a different deal.
I'm going to tell you why, because I think there's certain skills that can't be developed playing for South Carolina and also playing for Connecticut too. Like Michael Jordan wasn't one player of the year as a junior, but I think he could have been even better in college if he wasn't. I'm not saying he didn't get the fundamentals from Dean Smith. I'm sure he got great fundamentals from Dean Smith, but I think if he was given a little bit more freedom to shoot a little bit more and actually take over games more, I think he would have been a better college player. And it turns out, like when he was in the pro, like the first 2/3 of his rookie year, he was playing kind of like he was And same thing at the Olympics. He was averaging like 20 points. He was like, not taking a ton of shots. And then when he started to open up his game and shoot more and take over games and stuff, that's a difficult skill to take over a game. And only great players can do that. And I think you have to have some freedom to be able to make mistakes, to develop high risk passes, and to develop abilities to create your own shot and kind of force the shot a little bit and like take over games. Well, and I think you need the freedom to do that with not thinking you're going to be benched when you do that. And I think Don Saley and Gino will bench you if you do that. And I think you can't develop those high ability. Those skills are hard to develop.
Well, that's where you hit the head the nail on the head, Mark. Michael Jordan was that developed back in college. He wasn't a superstar in college. He had to work out his shot, and that's what he did when he got to a pro.
He was a player of the year when he was a junior.
When he got to be a pro, he had to be, he had to work on his game, which everybody does. So that's what he did to become that player that you give the ball to at the end of the game. So I mean, as far as you can't really say it was a coach. Dean Smith, who was a great coach, was prohibiting him to achieve his. I mean, he wasn't there yet. He wasn't.
I think he would have developed some of that skills that he developed in the pros earlier if in his college career if he
worked on it, not the coaches. That's not the coach's thing. That's his thing. You got to work to be a better ball player.
I think he wanted him to play within the system, and I think that's what would have happened to Caitlin Clark, and I think that's what's going to happen to Aaliyah Chavez if she goes to South Carolina, and I don't think that'd be good for her game. I don't think
so. I don't think so.
From what I've seen, she's got some flair, and she also is up tempo player. She's not that. South Carolina and UConn do not play up tempo. They play.
Wait a minute. South Carolina does play up tempo. Have you watched any games yet?
Not against South Carolina. I did. Yeah, I played against UCLA.
One game. You watched one game.
Was more tough tempo than South Carolina was in that game.
Well, you watch one game. I watched some of the South Carolina games. They're a fast-paced team. They get the ball. She's always standing up, getting them to push the ball up the court. So yeah, they're not a come down, do a rotation like they're a fast break team. They got the young guards, and they got the experienced graduate player with Pow who shoot the three. So. I mean, I of all the schools, I probably wouldn't go to Connecticut only because he recruits too many players that are equal to me. I'd have more of a chance if I were her to go to South Carolina, where you have to look and see, okay, who's leaving, and so this player's leaving. I could step in and I could be that player in a couple of years. So you have to look and see who's coming in and out of your school.
He's talking definitely about the top players, but. I think these skills are hard to develop, and you need some freedom to develop them. Otherwise, you can't develop them. And I think once you learn those skills, that's what turns you into a superstar. Being able to take over a game, you have to take some risks sometimes to take over a game.
Well, yeah, any risk, but I mean, you also have to be that. Like I said, no one's a Michael Jordan, no one's a Caitlin Clark. All you have to develop those things, your own skills on yourself. So, but when it comes to college, you're playing against people who are probably the same level or maybe even better than you. So if you're not playing or you were averaging 20 points a game in high school, you're not going to be averaging that in college. Not unless you're really a standout superstar and you work on your game, not just because of where you're going to school and the coaching. You work on your game to become better. So
we'll see what happens. We'll see who she chooses, and we'll see how big a deal she is when she gets in college. I think she's already talking back and forth some smack with Paige about how they would cover each other and how many points they would score. I saw some video. I think she was just joking around. Mm-hmm. Paige is Paige is a very good defender, but Paige will be gone next year anyway. So I think they were just joking around. I think
real quick, Mark. I think we talked about this probably off the subject. We talked about how the WNBA they kind of didn't like Caitlin Clark, and they get this kind of group, Mean Girls group. I think this younger group coming in of players, they know each other. They've played with each other, and I think it's going to change the attitude as far as how they treat each other too. Hopefully they will. I think with the old guard or whatever they had is going out. The Diana Taurasi's and those guys, they're going out. We have these new young women who are coming in, and they know each other and they played each other. And I think they're not that mean girl type thing. I hope.
Yes and no. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark have played against each other since they were 11 years old, according to Angel Reese, since they were in 9th grade. And Angel Reese treated her like crap when she won the championship.
Well, she made her.
So maybe not.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I just see it. Like I kind of see it. That hopefully, I'm hoping we talk about this. I'm hoping it'll change.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. So let us know where you think Aaliyah Chavez should go to school, and where do you think she will go to school, and whether you think there's anything to the theory that AK Nation has about that. Basically, what he said: if you're a guard and you want to shine, you should avoid a big factory school like UConn in South Carolina, and that's his theory. And maybe we'll have him on the show, Rob. We'll get him on the show. You guys, the two of you can debate it.
Sure. Well, you can call into our show. You can call into our show. When is our show, Mark?
He actually referred to our show once, right? He says his argument is they get all the top talent, yet the guards don't turn into stars in the WNBA the last 20 years, even though they get the best recruits.
Well,
so there's something to his theory in terms of the names and numbers that I just went over with you, because there's a lot of star forwards and centers from UConn and South Carolina.
Plus the NBA is finally getting into that guard concept. I think Clark finally opened up the door with that. It's mostly a primary. If you want to go with forwards, and you look at Connecticut, all the top forwards coming out of into the NBA are from Connecticut.
Right, it's different. That's a different concept.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you want, but that's what I'm saying. But he's talking about guards. But if you want to go overall with players coming into the WNBA, they're out of Connecticut. So there's something there.
We'll see who she chooses, and we'll see how she does, and whether she made the right choice or not. We'll find out at the end of 4 years, I guess. So we'll find out. I'm looking forward to seeing her play. From the highlights I saw her, seems kind of an exciting player. And all these players are supposedly going to replace Caitlin Clark. I think this woman has a better chance than any of the players in college right now, based on the flair that she has, and she likes the 3-point shot, and she plays with confidence. In fact, there's a video that says, "Oh, don't call me cocky unless you know me." So there must be people calling her cocky already. So Caitlin Clark's a little bit cocky with all the trash talking.
All right, what they say? I see you.
So we'll see. She's I don't know how the league's going to accept her or the college going to accept her. She's Mexican descent from her parents, but she's a U.S. citizen. I don't think that should make any difference, but that's what she is, and she does seem like she's going to be an exciting player. So we'll find out what happens. All right, let us know what you guys think about all this concepts going on and AK Nation's theory and stuff like that. Rob doesn't agree with it. I tend to agree with it. If for certain players, not for certain players who need the freedom and have a little bit of flair or are going to develop into good high risk, slightly high risk skills that I think you need to turn into a superstar. So anyway, all right. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do set the notification bell when you do, so you get notified of our next video. And if you like this video, hit the like button and join us for our live show. We can debate this tomorrow night if you want, which is going to be on Monday at 6 to 8 Eastern time, except for major holidays. And you can call in for that show if you want. And if you haven't donated to our channel, you can with super chats and super thanks down below. And there's a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.